Avatar: The Way of Water 2022. In a distant future, after squandering their own resources, humans plan on relocating to the planet of Pandora years after already being exiled by the local Na'vi for trying to ravage their lands. But will the native peoples of Pandora happily forgive and forget about the humans' destructive nature? I wouldn't hold my breath.
This episode is brought to you by Radik Audio. Radik Audio. Enjoy the music. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Our Rating, the show where I get together with two of my buddies. We take a movie franchise, break it down by movie, give it an overall score, and throw it up back on the board to see where it compares to the other movie franchises. This week, we're talking about Avatar: The Way of Water, getting ready for Avatar: Fire and Ash coming out in a few short weeks. Will, how are you doing this week?
I'm so ready for Fire and Ash. I'm so ready.
Excellent. You're just looking forward to it, I'm sure. Not at all waiting for this whole franchise to be done with. How are you doing this week, Brian?
I'm great, Dan. How are you doing?
You know what? I'm pretty excited. I needed this week. It's been a good week, but I'm still just ready to be here and hang out with you guys, talking about what is sure to be one of our favorites here on the program.
Oh, yes. Hey, what do you got there in the back, Brian? What's that? What's your background there?
Well, it's either something phallic or it's a whale
Adjacent.
thing. Adjacent whale, whatever. So, did you guys notice that almost everything in this movie has like an Earth analog of it?
Yeah, absolutely. The
Right,
creativity
like these,
in this
like
movie is...
behind me is a whale. It's not. They didn't call it a whale, but it's a whale. What I did think was weird is that there is a character in here who goes by two names, Spider or Monkey Boy. There are no spiders or monkeys on the planet of Pandora. So why do they call him that? Why don't they call him the analog of a spider or a monkey, right? Wouldn't that make more sense? I thought that was weird.
That's a fair point that I hadn't thought of. I mean, in fairness, Jake Sully is theoretically still human, so he would know what a monkey or a spider is. But and for that matter, they might have aliens that look like monkeys on that planet, and the alien translation or the English translation would be monkey.
Right. When we haven't seen all the inhabitants of this planet. I'm sure we'll find more in the next installation. What I found odd is more the way they changed the language. Like they talk way too much English overall, I find. But they changed from English into Na'vi, but then cut the subtitles and be like, okay, you're talking Na'vi now. They did do that. Yeah. But I still didn't love it. I would love that there was more Na'vi language incorporated in, like it didn't have an English alternate.
I didn't need a universal translator to watch this movie. I would go with subtitles. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I think there's a lot of movies that do that though, right? Like you can see it in, I think it's Hunt for Red October, where they speak Russian for like a minute and then just switch to English, and you know they're still speaking Russian, but it's just the way of like, okay, let's not overbear the audience with subtitles for no reason whatsoever. I do like your idea of like, well, that word doesn't have a translation, so we're going to keep calling them that, which I guess they kind of do with things like the Tolkien, which are those whales in the background.
The name of, the actual name of animals, except for Spider Monkey Boy.
Fair. Yeah. Not a native, though. That was a brought-in thing. I will touch on this quickly because I know, well, I'm assuming I'm going to be more positive on this movie than you guys were as of last week and probably 2 weeks ago in Fire and Ash as well. But I'll start negative because there are a couple things that did bother me, but they're all very close to the beginning. And one of them is Monkey Boy or Spider. I don't actually remember them calling him Monkey Boy. I believe you. I just remember him being called Spider. I really hated how they introduced some of the characters at the very beginning of this. Like the Jake Sully and his wife getting pregnant, totally fine. But the like weird immaculate conception of Kitty, and then like all of a sudden, the sergeant or the colonel from the first movie like had a kid that he never once mentioned in the first movie. You're just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why did it have to be his
no allusion
kid?
to that in the previous film, right?
Yeah.
There was no allusion. There was an opening for Kitty. But they could have alluded to it a little bit more and led us up to it so that when they said the Immaculate Conception, it didn't sound as dumb as Immaculate Conception.
Well, and I mean, even the Colonel himself being reincarnated, his whole squad reincarnated under Project Phoenix. I would have been okay with well, maybe the Immaculate Conception, but like I would have been okay with the other two if you'd given us any hint that you'd thought about this ahead of time. But this feels 100% like James Cameron had an idea in like 2017 and was like, oh, we should put that in the movie. And it didn't fit. Admittedly, this is not a unique concept. Like Star Wars did this quite a bit, where like you go from Star Wars like episode 4 to episode 5, and it feels like that doesn't feel like that was the plan all along, and we kind of go with it. But it just felt like there was a lot of it really close back to back at the beginning of this movie. We're like, oh, and this character returned. Oh, and this happened again.
Yeah.
You're just like,
and when they bring back characters that are killed off, I always feel cheated. I always feel cheated, especially in this instance when they didn't allude to it. Had they killed off the Colonel and then mentioned Project Phoenix at the end of the movie, and I'd been like, what's Project Phoenix? And then they brought it in, I'd have been like, okay, you alluded to it. It was the little hook there. I get it. But this was completely like, hey, let's bring back this character. And it felt cheap. I felt ripped off. I don't like when they do that.
I would have been totally fine with them putting because they show you him talking to his dead self essentially, and it's not Paul Giamatti. What's the actor's name? Ribisi, whatever that actor, the main captain.
That actor
comes up behind him.
We should call him because he was still pretty flat in this movie.
Well, he has like 2 lines. Not
nearly as bad as the first one, but he was still
like
pretty
2
flat.
lines. But like you could have shown that scene even. Not even mention what it is, but at least you're like, oh, okay, I retrospectively understand what that was. Right? But like literally they gave us nothing, and then it's just like somehow the Colonel returned, and you're just like, oh, okay. No, thank you. I didn't like it when Star Wars did it. I didn't like when this did it.
The Colonel was better in this movie, I'll say.
Yes.
Not by much. He didn't have quite as many horrible one-liners and drinking coffee while he's flying around bombing things, but he did seem a little bit better dialogue-wise.
I'll give you that, but I don't think. No offense to the actor, but I don't think the character is interesting enough to justify at least 2 movies. And spoilers, he's alive at the end of this one, so he could very well be the enemy again. And I'm just like, you're just not interesting enough to warrant this. I'm sorry.
Even before all this, okay, here's my issue with this movie. 1, it's scarily close to the first movie all over again. And 2, did the humans learn nothing? Like, Jake Sully admitted on his little journal cam that they'll never leave. They'll never give in to the human ways. Now humans are just going to come populate, and they're not just going to scorch Earth before they do. Like, it makes no sense.
And
I mean, they did
also
mysterious amounts of Earth there. That was a pretty impressive scene.
Also, why did we switch commodities? We had unobtainium, and now we're going after the Fountain of Youth. The unobtainium led to deforestation. The Fountain of Youth is now whaling.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? Because we hit one environmental issue at a time, please.
They are. I mean, they switched.
So there's 2 trains of thought on that one. One is they did blast a good chunk of the forest and sent a bunch of those people home, like spent them running. And I mean, maybe they now have the access to an unobtainium. But you're not going to just go for one resource if you've got a planet that size. You're going to go for all the resources. And Jake Sully, our character, is no longer in the forest. So they might be ravaging the forest for all the unobtainium they can possibly get. That's where Ribisi's characters, I'm going to blank on that for a while, doing that. But now you've got the military moving on to the next area, and the next area is the whales, who are the Fountain of Youth. Like, it's not like replacing. It is
this planet, but the whales are funding this mission because it's liquid gold, right?
But I mean, we as humans, we steal from the oceans and the land and the mountain. You know what I mean? Like, we're not single one place characters. It's just that's where the story is taking place.
That brings me. So we've kind of touched on a couple of things, and all of these things kind of revolve around Spider. Believe it or not. Who I think is actually a genius move on the writer's part by bringing this character in, because he solves 3 issues that I had a big problem with in the first part. 1, he is a visual representation that this movie isn't entirely CG, right? There's a lot of big stretches where they're in the woods and everybody's blue, and they have to bring in Spider to remind you this is still a live action movie. And so he does that. He also softens the misanthropy in this film. If you don't know what that word means, it's speciesism. It's like being racist, but against another species. And in the first movie, they're very hardcore against being human. They just showcase humans as being horrible people. And they do it again in this one. But now we actually have a flesh and blood human being going through this film who reminds us of better parts of humanity, right? Instead of just like one or two scientists in the background who are cringing when they blow up a tree, we actually have Spider who is showcasing true human emotion, a true range of human emotion throughout this film, and trying to kind of bring down that speciesism down a little bit, which is nice, but they were still pretty grotesque. The body count of humans is ridiculous. And then the third thing is that he brings in the daddy issues with the Colonel, right? Evolving that character a little bit.
Which is fair. I just wish you're famous for being anti-child actors. I really hated the actor of Spider in this one. He really
absolutely. It was terrible.
Time he was on screen.
100%.
Okay.
But
so you're like, oh, he fixes issues. You're like, oh, he's my biggest issue.
Right? I wish they would have brought somebody better in there. I wish they would have made him a better character in the people he interacts. Everything was not fleshed out well enough.
Yeah.
But inserting him in the film did a lot for this film and helped it out in a lot of ways that I didn't like in the previous one. What did you guys think of the whaling? We had deforestation and all humans are horrible people. In this one, we had whaling. We didn't have as much military stuff. They specifically said this isn't a military boat. This is a whaling ship. Still looked like they had some pretty big guns on it. How'd you guys feel about being a human watching this movie?
I don't take as much of offense as a human being watching this sci-fi movie as you do. I get what you're saying 100%. Like, it is very like, man, look at humans in the mirror. They do some pretty terrible things. But I mean, humans do some pretty terrible things. Like, that's not science fiction. That's just fact.
Right.
So it didn't really, I mean, it bothered me, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this is really like punching me in the face with this. It just is. It hurt a little bit watching those scenes because you do know that these are very intelligent creatures. I mean, like, a lot of sea mammals are fairly intelligent, but these ones are like actually could be the dominant species on their home planet, kind of a thing. Like, they are way
They even
smarter
talk
than
about how intelligent they are and how overly emotionally developed they are as they're drilling into its brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I think they will say us over the head with the disgustingness of humanity myself.
Sure. I will say one quick thing. The ship, the whaling ship, one of my favorite designs. Absolutely love that thing every time it's on screen. I get that the whaling is, you're not supposed to enjoy it, but I'm just something about that ship I think is so freaking cool. Sorry,
that's
go
fair.
ahead.
No, that's totally fair. I've long ago come to accept that humans are terrible, and that's why I don't do anything outside of this small dark room with my avatar here. Just me and them for life. But what I was more intrigued about throughout the whole whaling escapade was that Jermaine Clements was the, I don't know, bio doctor or whatever he was, scientist, biologist. And I was like, what is this guy doing in this movie? Why isn't he singing funny songs and giving us some good laughs? He didn't give me any laughs at all. So I was just confused throughout it.
He's the voice of the crab from Moana, right?
Yeah. He sings an amazing song in that too. He's amazing. He's if you don't know who he is, he's half of Flight of the Conchords, New Zealand folk band, I guess. I don't know what you even call them, but I was just like, what is he doing in this movie? Why is he acting so serious right now? I am so godsmacked by this. I don't even know what to think. So anything else that happened with the whales was I really kind of missed that because I was just intrigued by that.
Fair enough. I don't know who that was. I had to look him up while you were talking about him, so it didn't bother me one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to stretch their legs, right? And if you can get a piece of this pie, this being like what the largest grossing movie of all time, why not?
Yeah,
go for it.
Good on him.
Take your shot.
Sure. Yeah.
So to go back to one of the other points, the previous movie had very flat, one-dimensional characters that didn't grow or change or have much of an arc. And in this one, both with the Colonel and with Jake, they were parent issues that they had to deal with. These were not well fleshed out. They didn't really go anywhere, but it was something more to the character, right? I kind of thought that at some points Jake Sully was like the worst parent ever. In fact, the Colonel was doing a better job parenting than Jake Sully was at some points in the film. But they tried to give a little bit more dynamic range to the characters. So props for them trying. They didn't do a very good job, but at least we added something in there. We had a lot of the family issues, a lot of different people and how they interacted with, like, right, the Na'vi went out and communicated with the whales, and everybody's looking at babies, and lots of family, lots of clans, lots of tribes. That was really present in this film. That's a good thing. They didn't do a great job of all that, but they put more into it.
As far as character development went, I think they did a better job with the children's characters. I felt like they had character arcs and reasons for the way they acted. You know, some of it is their adolescence and they think they're invincible and they're just going to screw up. But you could feel like middle child syndrome a little bit, and first child being, the one everybody loves, and all these, you felt those things. So that was nice. But yeah, Jake Sully was still a complete waste of screen time as far as I'm concerned.
I think this wasn't Jake Sully's movie. Like, I think the first
it wasn't. It was his youngest son's movie.
His kid's movie, yeah. And I think they did a pretty good job of passing that baton. You still get quite a bit of Jake Sully. You get the whole family dynamic, but I don't know, you care a bit more about his kid than you do about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That being said, I couldn't tell you the kid's name to save my life, but...
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, it kind of meant that Zoe Selden got kind of sidetracked a little too. Like, she was barely in this movie, and I missed that because she was like one of the better parts of the first movie.
And she had great scenes in this movie when her son died, and she was, screaming and crying. And I look over at Jake Sully and go, "Hey, buddy, that's how you act right there. Look at that. That's how you act. Quit waiting for your mocap sensors to give you emotion. Freaking do it."
I'm not going to argue that Sam Worthington is an incredible actor. He's definitely not on Zoe Saldana's level. But I mean, generally speaking, men don't show the same level of emotion that women do. I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm just like...
But
no,
that was terrible acting. That wasn't not showing emotion or being manly or masculine over his son's death. That was just terrible acting in that scene. It was horrible.
Although I did feel like there was some toxic masculinity in this, because he did say a father protects. That's what he says. That's all he says. And that is not all a father is. That is like toxic masculinity on a plate for you. So maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe James Cameron's like, well, this guy can't act, so let's just write him full of toxic masculinity, and that'll do the work for us.
Good thing you made him a star of your multi-billion-dollar franchise. Good call.
That's why they shifted. That's why they shifted to the kids.
Maybe it's actually story about the kids. Who knows? Toxic, but rather they whittled him down to the simplest of things, right? They whittle him down to being a protector for his family, which is one tiny facet of being a father. You're right. Mm-hmm. But like, that's all the character can handle. That's all the writing could handle for this film. 3 hours and 15 minutes. We still couldn't get Jake Sully to have any kind of development arc, really, other than at the very end, he's like, "I see you, son," to his youngest son. That was like it. That was it. It was terrible.
Well, to the point where they end the movie pretty much in the exact same place they end the first movie, right? He opens his eyes being like, "Now I know what I need to do against these humans." We got that for the first 3 hours of the first film. Like, you lost all of that in the next 3 hours, and it crippled me to have to watch it all over again.
So on same kind of thing, but on the other side of the table, you have the Colonel with Spider, and he's trying to reconcile his son. I really enjoyed the take of him seeing himself on the TV, and then he's like, "That's not me. I'm somebody else." And when he finds his dead body, he crushes that skull, and he wants to believe that the Colonel died. He is something or someone new, and that he just has those memories. And then they tried to make it real interesting at the end when they're holding children hostage, which was very awkward. And he says, "No, don't hurt my son." And he accepts that Spider was his son, which means he accepts that he is the Colonel. Right. And I thought that was really interesting. Again, didn't pull that off very well. They didn't pull it off very well, but they were trying for a higher dynamic range with the character, and more so than Jake Sully, I think the Colonel pulled this one off a little bit better. It was very interesting to see that take on who he is and who he's becoming. So that was interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I think to some extent, Spider's also the last remnant of the Colonel, right? Like, even if he doesn't believe that that's who he is, he has to understand that that is a part of him on some level. And he doesn't strike me as a family man. I don't think he's got anything waiting for him back on Earth, but Spider is like the last remnant of who he was, or his legacy, as it were. Again, they didn't really touch on that. That's just me bringing that to the table. I didn't love that part. Like, I didn't love that was the one thing that he connected to, is this kid that he didn't even know that he had. I mean, I guess he did know that he had him, but he assumed that he was sent back to Earth to be, part of the foster system or something. I never got the impression that he really cared. And then when Spider saves him at the end, I never really understood why Spider cared. You know what I mean? Like, both of those turns were just kind of like, okay, you clearly blood is thicker than water. Their family, I get it. But at no point did you show me any reason why either one of them should care about the other person.
I think Spider's care makes more sense because Spider is a good person.
He's raised by the Na'vi.
Exactly. At no point in the movie do you think Spider is like out to betray anybody or backstab anybody. He's a genuinely good person raised by the Na'vi and the good scientist humans on this planet. And so when the Colonel showed some sort of care and wouldn't, just off these kids and wouldn't let Spider be killed, he's like, I can return that favor. Whether he accepts him as his father, I don't think that's where it's going. I think it's more like, you saved me, I saved you. That's because that's what good people will do, Do
you think, and predicting for the next movie, they're going to try and give, is it Quaritch, the Colonel? Do you think they're going to try and give him a redemption arc, like pretty much every Disney product does, where eventually the bad guy becomes the good guy or redeemable or something? And if so, do you want that at all?
No, I don't want it at all.
No, agreed.
I mean, that's like
no.
It's like asking, do you want another Avatar movie, Dan?
what I would like. In the previous movie, I felt all of the characters were very flat, very one-dimensional, and I wanted them to expand on that, and I wanted them to build on the world. They did build on the world. We had a whole new set of tribes, a whole new area to explore. We had a whole new angle that humanity is trying to destroy it. And we had these characters who were developing families and tribal ties and trying to find their belonging. So though they didn't do a good job of any of these stories or arcs or character building or development, they did a terrible job of it all. They tried to do exactly what I wanted to see in this movie. And so it was an improvement in that they attempted it. Now I would like to see them continue that, do a better job. And I would like for them to stop making everything so damn black and white, good and evil. It is not like that in the real world. It is very gray and muddled and shades of color everywhere. And everybody's a little bit bad and everybody's a little bit good. And you got to kind of work those things out, and they're messy, and that's what makes life interesting. And this is so boring to me. That is so just bipolar. There's bad humans destroying the planet, and there's good Na'vi, and they're gonna stop them. And that was kind of it.
This episode is brought to you by Radique Audio. Radique Audio. Enjoy the music. The RA Twin 2 is the new flagship Bluetooth adapter brought to you by the fine people at Radique Audio. This tiny but mighty device delivers best-in-class range and clarity to your music and gives you 3 versatile modes with which to use it. First off, if you have a vintage stereo setup or an older vehicle that doesn't have Bluetooth, this little guy works as a Bluetooth receiver and allows you to stream music or podcasts, like this one, wirelessly from your phone to your system. You can enjoy all that the internet has to offer on your drive to work or on your expensive stereo equipment with no mess, no headaches, and no wires all over your room. Secondly, it works as an MP3 player. Want to go for a jog and not have your bulky phone with you? Want to do something active like kayaking or downhill skiing and not worry about losing your expensive device? At just $39 and weighing half of an ounce, the RA Twin 2 succeeds at being significantly smaller and more replaceable if the worst should happen. I've seen more and more videos of teenagers who don't want to pay monthly for Spotify and are rediscovering the joy of MP3 players. With the use of a micro SD card, you can fit 64 gigabytes of data on this, which is about 15,000 songs. So this would make a fantastic stocking stuffer for you or for somebody you know who's on a budget. And lastly, and I'm not going to lie, this is my favorite feature, the RA Twin 2 works as a wireless Bluetooth transmitter. I've mentioned before on R Rating that I like my movies loud, but unfortunately I live in a house that doesn't really condone having a soundproof room. And so there's many times where I can't have this volume as loud as I want because there's other people around, maybe like doing their homework or trying to sleep or doing other things where it wouldn't be very conducive. And the opposite is true as well. There have been times where I've been trying to get into a movie and it's hard because there's so much noise around me. But now with the RA Twin 2 and a decent set of Bluetooth headphones, I can enjoy my media the way I want to enjoy it and when I want to enjoy it. Loud war movies in the middle of the night are no longer going to be a problem. So if you're interested in the Radique Audio RA Twin 2, head over to radique.com and check it out. And as a bonus for my listeners, if you enter coupon code MONGOOLY at checkout, you'll get a $10 Canadian off of the purchase of every Twin 2 unit that you buy. The more you get, the more you save, and the more you support our rating. The RA Twin 2 comes with a USB charge cable, as well as a dual RCA to 3.5mm cable. But if you want to upgrade to the Twin 2 bundle, you'll also get the multi-port USB fast charger, as well as a Gold Series 3.5 to dual RCA cable upgrade, and the Gold Series 1/4 to 1/8 TRS cable. When bundled, you save on all 3 additional components, and when you use coupon code MONGOOLY at checkout, you will get an additional saving as well. Thank you very much to Radique Audio for sponsoring this episode, and thank you for not skipping the ad. You didn't skip the ad, right? These movies are relatively thin. I'm not going to argue about that. I'm not going to say like, oh no, they're super deep and I really get a whole lot of meaning out of them. But there's something about them. The first one a little bit, this one much, much more so. And I admit I am totally biased because I love the ocean and water animals and stuff like that, where I could just live in this world for like 3 hours. Now, especially in the big screen, like watching it in the movie theater was quite an experience for me that I thoroughly enjoyed. Watching it at home, they are really long movies, and I don't mind that because I love being in the world, but I do mind that because it means it doesn't want to, like, I don't want to revisit it very often because I don't want to, like, when do I have 3.5 hours to set aside to watch this? Mm-hmm. But, like, so much of the first movie and so much of this movie is just kind of exploring this world that we'll obviously never get to see in real life through Jake Sully's eyes, through these characters' eyes, who are somewhat discovering them for themselves. And I really like that. Like, there's something legitimately magical about this franchise, about these movies for me, which is just like, there's not a deep purpose to it. There's not necessarily like super thick characters. You know me, I really like dialogue heavy movies. These are not dialogue heavy movies, but there's just something about living in that world and seeing the spectacle of it that I find so captivating, that I do thoroughly enjoy. And I am legitimately looking forward to Fire and Ash. I know I kind of twisted both your arms into doing this franchise, but like, the idea of going back to the movie theater and getting to spend another 3 hours in this world, I'm legitimately excited. Like say what you will about the characters and the plot, James Cameron makes an incredibly visually interesting movie in a way that not a lot of other directors can or do. I know that I'm just gushing at this point. I'm sure you're both going to rip me apart after this, but like the scenes with the whales, the scenes where they're just swimming around, the scenes where they're just like, they're just enjoying life. I was enjoying my life through them, by proxy. And I really enjoyed that aspect of these movies. Did you get none of that, Joy? Or because I know when people talk about this franchise, it's with vitriol. Like, people hate these movies for reasons I can't quite understand. Like, I was talking to somebody earlier and it's like, oh, you like, they're talking about watching the third one. I'm like, are you gonna watch the second one? Like, oh, I'd rather like stick my tongue down a belt sander. I'm just like, okay, it's just a movie, but okay.
That's a visual right there.
Right.
So I think that these are visually stunning films. There's no doubt about that. This one was every bit as good as the last one. It was underwater, so they kind of drew back from some of the cheesy 3D effects for the 3D glass goers. But then you drop underwater and then it's all there naturally and looked real good. I watched this without 3D and it was still impressive, where when you watch the first one without your 3D glasses, it looks kind of dumb because they're trying to show off all those 3D effects and it doesn't look good until you get into the aerial battles. And then in this one, they kind of step back, but when you drop into the water, then you get all that 3 dimension again. And it looks natural whether you're watching with 3D glasses or not. So they did a good job making this one visually stunning, regardless of how you view it. And that was great, but it's 3 hours and 15 minutes of it. And I felt every minute of 3 hours and 15 minutes. It was just too much. This movie was so long. That's one of my biggest complaints, is that after a while, I was like, I get it. It looks great. Get on with it. You know, like, I got to go to bed today.
I think that's my biggest issue as well, is like, yeah, it looks fun. It looks great, but everything else just doesn't keep me interested. And even like the world building doesn't keep me interested because they're just floating around with whales or flying fish. Like, it's not unique enough to keep me enthralled with it throughout the time of the movie. And obviously the characters don't hold up. The plot doesn't hold up. So it's just too long for a spectacle. If it was shorter or had more points in those other areas, then I could get on board. You know, we could float this raft, so to speak. But for me, it's just like, oh, this is Avatar all over again with slightly better effects. And now it's in the water. So I've seen it. I don't need to see it again.
Interesting. I mean, I agree that the length of this movie is its biggest downfall for me. But again, mostly because it deters me from wanting to rewatch it. Like I ironically, I would say like I will easily spend 3 hours living in this world because I really do enjoy it. But I don't want to spend the same 3 hours over and over again. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to watch this movie 4 or 5 times. But like I'll happily go to the theater on the 18th or 19th or whatever it is to watch the next one. Like whether we were doing this show or not, I would probably be going opening weekend with my family and checking it out. It's just, I don't know, it just does it for me. And I watched both of them actually with my twins, and they were shocked when I said there were people that don't like these movies. Right? Like it just, I don't
know. So I don't know where to go with that, but I mean, I think we just kind of all stand at a little bit different spot. So let's take it someplace else. Let's talk about Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, man.
Because I want to talk about Sigourney Weaver, damn it, and the Kitty character, who had a quasi Sigourney Weaver voice, quasi looked like Sigourney Weaver, and honestly, it put me in some sort of a Sigourney uncanny valley where I didn't like it, and it was a very interesting character, even though I didn't like how she was just kind of dropped on us in that weird way, like, hey, we're going to bring her back. But it just kept creeping me out when I heard Sigourney Weaver's quasi-filtered voice coming out of this character. And I'm like, she died in the last one, and we don't really know how she's made. Is she Jake's daughter? Is she... What's going on here? And it just confused me. It was frustrating. But I did really enjoy how she interacted with the world. And that's a whole bigger topic. So what did you guys think about Sigourney Weaver and how they brought her back into the story again?
Sigourney Weaver is credited as playing Kiri. Is that
Kiri? Oh, is it Kiri? I thought they were saying Kitty. Okay.
I thought they were saying Kitty too. That's why I'm just like, is it the same? Like, is she actually playing that character?
She plays the young girl, yes.
Okay. I didn't see the uncanny valley of it. I just saw the character and I liked her for the most part. But again, I hated the way she was just brought in this weird, makes no sense way. Like, because I don't remember in the first one, like when her body dies and they're trying to merge her with, you know, the earth, they don't bring her back to the factory or wherever. Like they don't put her back in a water chamber. Like, don't they just tie her up and bury her like they do? Like in the... So
I thought she just got little enveloped.
Yeah.
The
little frogs took her in and she was fertilizer.
So how did they even find out that she was pregnant? Like none of that makes sense. It would have made more sense if she just, like the little kid just walked in from the forest. Be like, where did you come from? Like that would have made more sense to me than what they actually did. Not that would have been okay. I still would have thought that was dumb, but the way that she's introduced, I think, is terrible. The actual character, I have no issue with.
The character itself didn't bother you, just the introduction, right? We're all on point with the introduction, but the character itself didn't bother you?
I like the character as well because of it's another interesting thought of like, I'm out of place in this world.
Yeah.
And where do I actually belong? Where did I come from? Which is fine. The whole her connecting to the earth and then having a seizure and never being able to connect again was super weird as well. Like there was just such weird things with the character that it definitely made me wonder, like, why are they doing this? And I also thought the young Sigourney Weaver voice was weird, just because I was like, it's Sigourney Weaver, but they have definitely altered her to sound younger, and it just doesn't. But she still has such commanding voice. It's so weird. It was so weird for me as well.
I knew that it was her kid. And so I knew they were trying to like make her look and sound Sigourney Weaver-ish. I didn't realize it was literally her. I actually kind of want to go back and go like check out a scene or two, just be like, oh yeah, okay, interesting.
Just watch the whole thing.
Oh,
man.
That's right. Watch the third one. Yeah, that's fair.
There you go. She will be in that. Yeah, for sure.
So I did notice something though. In the first one, the planet didn't really react or do anything. The Gaia character, I forget what they call their version of God, Earth, woman, whatever.
Sure.
it didn't really react until like they came and they communed with the tree and they said, hey, we need your help. And at the very end, the planet reacts. And now we know that the planet will react to regular humans getting too close to one of those like connection points, right? It'll respond to them. And that's why they made the Colonel come in so he can be Na'vi and he can get into those places without the planet reacting to them. And now you have Kia or Kitty, whatever her name is, and she is directly communicating with the god of the planet or whatever and directing it to do things like grab a submarine and smash it. And it was interesting, and I'm wondering, is she going to be like deity level in the next one? And like, we're going to see this continue to ramp up? Why did she have the seizure? That was out of nowhere. It didn't make any sense. So I don't know where they're going with that, but I'm curious about this character. It raised some questions, didn't give a lot of explanations. Her voice was definitely creepy, and her introduction was just didn't make any sense.
Off the deep end?
Ooh.
Yes. There we go.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that she didn't actually have a seizure. Medical science / science and religion are often at odds with each other, and what one is trying to explain doesn't always make sense to the other one. So my guess is, in the story that they're going to present to us, she actually did have a religious experience or something, and science doesn't know how to quantify that, so it does what it can and says, oh, well, this ticks enough boxes to be a seizure. Because even say like, oh, this is very common with people saying they're having religious experiences, it just activates the frontal cortical lobe. But we've seen like the Navi's god in action, so like it's not just chemicals in the brain.
I think
like,
what it was is that
going on.
She was communing and she was speaking with her mother, or her mother's avatar, whatever, her sentient mother, and she had some questions, and the planet god didn't want her to know those answers yet and had to like break the connection. And so it was like yanking the Ethernet cable out of your computer and you lose connection kind of hard and you get error messages. That's kind of what I thought it was, is how I figured it.
I don't love that, but I don't hate it. Like, that makes sense. I'm not curious. I'm very curious where they're going to go with that. I don't really even want them to explain like who her dad is or anything like that. I kind of want them to just forget that that's a plot that even existed. Just like Kiri lives, moving on. Like, I don't need it. Like, I think they're obviously going with the Immaculate Conception route, and she's like can speak to the deity and make the deity do what it wants. Like, clearly she is going to be, you know, I don't even know the next like Avatar level character. Avatar: The Last Airbender, not Avatar: Way of Water.
Yeah.
Wow, you're getting.
But you know what I mean? Like,
stop mixing
Avatar and Avatar.
Anyway, Aang was the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about that. But like, it's going to be some sort of like a god level character that can come out and like fix everything and save everything and like, heal the scars.
She's the Navi's Pope.
Left. Like, I don't need or want any of that personally, but you can kind of see that that's where they're going to go, or that's my guess.
She's the Neo.
Yeah,
that's good.
I will say this, Dan, I enjoyed all the sequences with the boat scenes and stuff too. I didn't like seeing them harm the whales. No, I mean, obviously we're not supposed to feel good about that.
Sure.
Those guys are in there high-fiving on the boats and we're supposed to be disgusted by it, and we were, and everything. But if they were like, you know, they were doing battle at one point, that was kind of cool. I did like that. And it looked great. It looked fun. It reminded me of when I had like action figures and, you know, Ninja Turtle sets and stuff like that. And I would play with them, you know, Dino Riders and stuff. It reminded me of that. And it was kind of cool. It's nostalgic. And it looked really neat on the big screen. It was a lot of fun. The cable getting yanked around, cutting people in half and stuff like that.
That was just poetic justice though, right? Because he shut off the fin of that one, and then he wound him up and cut his arm off.
Cut his arm off, yeah. So that was cool. It all comes around. One thing that I did not really like so much was that they pressed hard into graphic violence against humans. We had decapitations, explosions, arrows going through heads and chests. I mean, body parts being thrown around, people being smashed left and right. We would see a few of the Na'vi laying on the ground after an explosion. We saw Jake Sully's son with a bullet wound quietly passing with his family watching. And that was like it.
That was like
So you wanted more Na'vi getting chopped into pieces.
I don't necessarily want more Na'vi getting chopped into pieces, but it was one of those things where they made the humans look so horribly bad that we were going to be okay with the violence that was put against them. And I don't think that's a good way that we should be going in cinema. You shouldn't be able to decapitate somebody just because they're worse than the other guy. You know, I mean, this is more of a personal philosophy here, but I just didn't like it because they were chopping up humans like they were feeding them into a blender, and it wasn't an equal footing. They did it because we hate the humans for their whaling aspects, and it was a shallow move, and I just didn't like it.
I mean, it's a pretty common move, though, you have to admit. Like, generally speaking, in movies, whoever the villains are going to get it worse than whoever the heroes are.
Sure.
Right?
Take, what is it, Con Air, right? The baddest of the villain goes on the conveyor belt and gets his head smashed, right? Which was over-the-top gratuitous violence against this guy. But he was the worst of the worst, so he gets the worst, punishment.
Yeah.
So it is. I just don't like that in movies. I think that's stupid. I think in real life, that doesn't happen. Usually, the worst of the worst get off scot-free, or just like a light prison sentence or something is what normally happens. And I don't want some sort of poetic justice. I want a reality that really entraps me and strikes emotion. And I want to be angry that they didn't get punished enough or something. Like, I don't know. It was just shallow.
You wanted the reality of the Blue Alien movie?
I
don't know.
Everything
in
this
the reality,
movie is...
though, if you want the reality, the humans come and wipe the Na'vi off the Earth, off the Pandora, and we get a Earth 2.0, and they just destroy that too.
Certainly, like, why make a beachhead if they're like, yeah, we're gonna go to war against these guys because we want the whales? Why make a beachhead and then not napalm 80 miles into the forest? Like, just completely clear it, I mean,
well, I think the difference in this one is, though, that humans are now coming to live here. The master plan is don't scorch Earth just to take the resources. Earth's toast, they have to move here, so they can't torch it. But they should have come in military, just blazing down Na'vi. Like, just airships.
I don't know.
Did we not see the same opening? Like, they did come in harsh and, like, blast the Na'vi.
I mean,
like,
it looked like they were just landing ships and the thrusters were burning up forests.
They did burn up a big area, but I'm talking, like, wipe half a continent out. They
need the resources. They need to live there afterwards.
Exactly. That's the problem. Yeah.
I know. Well, I mean, I'm a hard science fiction guy, so there's ways of ending the Na'vi without even firing a bullet that keeps your resources. And it just seems really weird the way that they're going about it because they want to show sequences. Sure. They want to show these battle scenes and stuff. They can't actually take, a spaceship loaded with sand, get it approximating the speed of light and dump that sand and let it collide over the surface of the planet, completely devastating everything with no nuclear fallout, which is how you could remove the Na'vi from the planet if you wanted to. Just one way.
They don't have faster than light travel, right?
Not faster than light, approaching the speed of light. You just got to get some kinetic sand in there.
My point is, like, what technology we have right now is not necessarily the technology they have in this film. Right, like not all sci-fi
technology than what we have right now.
Well, for sure they do. But we can't do that now.
Well, my son has some kinetic sand. I can go get it right now.
Wrong kinetic sand, but yeah. We don't want to mold figurines. We want to wipe out a species. How do we commit genocide is what we're talking about here. No, I just everything about the plot, the story, and everything is dumb and bipolar. Just two dimensions, good, bad, black, white. Everything is simplified to its most dumbed down thing, and I just don't like when movies treat me stupid.
I can't wait till we get to Star Wars.
I'll have things to say about that too.
I don't disagree though. I mean, I think that's the problem with the movie. But it presents itself and has never claimed to be anything more than surface level writing and a spectacle to behold. And that's what these movies are. That's what these movies will continue to be. I have zero hopes that the plot is going to thicken and that the characters are going to be so well developed in the next edition or the one after that. It's just going to be slightly better graphics in a slightly different environment so that we can introduce slightly different animals than are on Earth. That's what I'm going to see, I feel, with Fire and Ash. And there's going to be some spectacle of people getting slaughtered by Na'vi, maybe some more Na'vi. I think it's the Na'vi's turn to take a couple of hits in the next movie. That's my thoughts.
I think based off the trailers, it's possible some of the Na'vis are going to be the villains in the next movie, which I would be very okay with, as opposed to bringing Colonel Quaritch back or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. Give us somebody new, maybe somebody with some depth, even just somebody that introduces a bit of gray into the world. I'd be very okay with that.
Yeah.
Ash, gray. Yeah. Anyways.
Nice.
I think in short, I feel like Avatar: Way of the Water attempted to shore up some of its predecessor's shortcomings. It didn't do a very good job of it because this is not what this movie is intended to do. Will said it. This is a spectacle movie. This is to showcase special effects, great features. It's supposed to be fun to watch in 3D in the theaters, and fun for the kids, which it was a little strange to see so many body parts flying around for such a young intended audience for this film. But I kind of get it, I guess. They made it okay because they made the humans so bad that it's all right to do bad things to them, I guess, whatever logic that is. But they tried a little harder in this. I do think that this movie did a little bit better overall job than the predecessor, but it is still an Avatar movie, and I still am not excited about this franchise.
That's totally fair. I don't have any problem with you or anybody not liking the franchise. Like, I totally get that, some things are for some people, some things are not. It consistently blows me away that people are so, like, the vitriol this franchise gets. Like, people hate this franchise. And that's what I'm just, like, always kind of confused by. Like, I just don't.
Do you think a lot of that hatred for the movie comes from its massive success financially?
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
Well, for me,
it legitimately could be.
I wouldn't say I hate this franchise. I dislike it. I despise it. It's horrible.
But just a despise. How is that not hate?
We're going to work all around hate. Every word that isn't hate, we're going to get them all.
But I wouldn't say I hate this franchise. But to me, it does bring back, when I've ranted on it before. I'll try not to rant on it again. I'll keep it short and sweet. It brings back the sheer fact that popcorn movies sell, so popcorn movies are being made, and those aren't the kind of movies I enjoy watching. So me watching these is promoting terrible movie making in the fact of bad storytelling, bad characterizations, bad acting. Like, those elements that I really go for in a movie are just absent. And so all that's left is spectacle, and spectacle is just not enough for me. And so that promotion, the huge success of this movie makes Hollywood say, let's just keep pumping that out. And to me, that's the bigger issue. So I don't hate the franchise. It is what it is, but I hate what it leads to, or potentially can lead to.
That's fair. I think there are still a lot of smaller, less spectacle movies getting made. They just don't go to theaters as hard as they used to, because, like, people know, I can watch that at home on my screen that's already 60, 70, 80 inches large. Like, that already is a big screen that I can watch that on. But if it's just going to be three people in a room talking, I don't need to spend that kind of money to go to the theaters. I think this is the kind of movie that does keep the movie industry alive, or the theater industry alive at least, because it does pique people out to be like, I kind of want to see that on a big screen. I kind of want to enjoy that in a crowded room and, like, hear all the gas and the murmurs and the oh my gods, stuff like that. Like, this is the kind of thing that brings a crowd out. Whereas, as much as you might like, Martin Scorsese or something like that, picking him because he hates these kind of movies as well, his movies just don't draw audiences anymore. Like, they just don't bring people into the theater. So as much as he loves the theaters, he's not doing them any favors. And I kind of hate that. And I kind of, evolve or die.
Here's the thing, though. You can have it all, right? You can have big spectacle with great story, with great acting, with great characters. I'll allude to maybe Lord of the Rings as just an off cuff.
Sure. You
can have it all. This promotes not needing it all, and people eating it up even more so. And that's the problem. It's not, I don't mind that other movies are just being made on Netflix and they're smaller budgets and you can have the more intimate things. That's totally awesome. I love that there's more avenues for those. I just don't like that it's just going so far one direction and succeeding so much because of doing that. I just don't like that. So yeah,
for me it's a little bit disheartening to see humans soaking this up, and then especially combined with the fact that humans in this movie are portrayed so poorly and everybody's soaking it up. And I'm sitting over here going, wait a minute, I'm human. I'm not like that. I don't want to be portrayed like that. And I don't want it to be so successful in films that everybody goes and sees this and says, look, what a bad human. There's that Run 7 guy. He's a human. Let's chop him up because he's a bad human.
I think
and we don't want to think about anything when we go to movies, and Run 7's over there conspiring with Will to make us think about movies. Fuck those guys.
I don't know if it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's thinking that, but okay.
I don't know if that correlates quite. That's like saying like playing violent video games makes you a violent person. I don't think that it goes either way.
I think violent video games can desensitize you to violence, just like this movie could desensitize you to the violence being portrayed against humans. Right? They find a way to make it okay.
I don't think it will make you think that all humans are terrible people, though, right?
Right. No, it's not. It's not. But I do feel. What do you want? I'm a middle-aged white guy, completely heterosexual. I'm the most vanilla person there is. I feel oppressed by this movie.
You are the corporal.
Oh man, you're not wrong. They do definitely show humans in a pretty nasty light in this. I mean, the main character is human as well, but whatever.
Not anymore.
One character we get is Spider, and he's terrible in this film.
No, I mean, like Jake Sully was raised human, right? And all of his kids have like demon blood or whatever you want to call it.
Well, Jake Sully's not a very good actor either. So I'm like, come
I never said he was.
We get Sigourney Weaver, and they freaking alter her so much. I'm disgusted when she enters the scene. I just can't win.
That's so funny. That is so funny. I don't know how to fix that problem for you, Run.
That's a me thing. That's a me thing. No, you know what? It's a spectacle movie, and people like it, and more power to them if they want to see that. I'm not going to promote movies like this because I believe, just like Will does, I think we can have it all. I think we can have a spectacle with great writing, great character development, great storytelling, something that's inspiring and causes you to feel very emotional without these cheap hits of making something so evil you hate it or so wonderful you love it. We can feel more range than that. So that's what I want to try and push is more franchises like that.
That's fair.
Dan, how many movies is this franchise going to have?
I think he's said he wants to have 5 or 6. Like it was at one point like 9, and I think he cut it down pretty significantly. So we'll see.
I saw a quick
as long as they keep making $2.5 billion, we'll probably have 48 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Whether he's involved or not. I saw a quick little snippet interview of James Cameron, and they were asking, "Oh, are you working on the next one? What's the next one going to be?" And he's like, "No. I'm unemployed right now. If this movie does well, then we'll be in talks for the next one. But right now, I'm unemployed." So I'm just like, that's definitely a bogus answer. But he's just trying not to either, go into the next one before this one. Don't jump the.
I think if I remember correctly, when the first one was made, it was like, I'd love to make 9 of these, but he only did the first one. And then obviously it did so incredibly well. I think 2 and 3 were contracted. So like he knew that he was going to be doing 2 and 3, but then it's kind of like, how well did these ones do to justify 4 and 5 or 4, 5, 6 or whatever it is after that. So Dan, it's possible that that's true, but
as the person who enjoys this film in the three of us, how many would you like to see? What's the upper limit where you're like, okay, that's getting ridiculous? Like, you think 5's good?
I mean, it's hard to say how much of something you enjoy you want to have.
Yeah.
Because
like you don't know you've eaten too much cake until you finish the cake.
Kinda, yeah. Where it's like, I don't want this every year. And I don't want to watch it over and over again every weekend. But if you give me a 3-hour experience in the theaters every 3 years, I don't see myself stopping until I don't enjoy it anymore. And after 2, I still enjoy it. So give me the third, give me the fourth, give me the fifth. I don't know. It's hard to answer that until it gets boring, right? Like there was a time where I didn't hate the Fast and the Furious franchise. And then it just kept going, and I just eventually just stopped caring, right? I liked Transformers at the very beginning, and then I just eventually stopped caring. I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but it's hard to say after what I would consider 2 hits to be like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to get bored of this after the next one.
Right.
Who knows?
But you're still a big fan of the Marvel content coming out, right?
I am. Yeah, I recognize that there have been more misses or okay ones recently than there used to be. There's definitely ones that I don't like as much, but I'm definitely more of a Marvel enthusiast or a Marvel apologetic than a lot of people are. Like, I will find the good in a lot of them. Where some people are like, oh, that was just trash. I'm like, no, actually, that's some pretty good points. I really like this, or this.
And are you still on the Star Wars train?
I was never as big into Star Wars as people always think that I am.
Oh, okay.
Just
because you're a general nerd, so people assume.
Well, exactly. Like people are just like, "Oh, you're a nerd. You must love Star Wars." I'm like, it's fine. Like I've always enjoyed it, but it's never been like my number 1 or even number 2 franchise. I haven't even seen season 2 of Andor yet, and I remember really enjoying the first season.
Right.
I've seen all the movies, but I mean, there's only 11 of them or something.
Only 11.
Well, compared to the MCU or something, right? Like,
that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
There was a time, like, we're all fairly old. Like, there was a time when we didn't know we were going to get more of these things, right? Like, there was 3 Star Wars for 20 something years where we had no idea we were ever going to see 1, 2, 3 or 7, 8, 9. It was a rumor that there was 9 of those movies, and like George Lucas had an overall story. But we never knew we were going to get that. I can
Iron Man came out, and I
Spider-Man
flipped my lid because I was like, we have a Hulk movie and an Iron Man movie.
Like, I was saying with this earlier today, like, I can remember very specifically a conversation I had with some buddies back in high school where, like, Spider-Man was, like, being rumored or being talked about. And I was like, oh, man, wouldn't it be cool if they had, like, a Wolverine cameo or something? And they looked at me like I had 3 heads. Like, that'll never happen. They'll never have 2 superheroes in a movie. Cue to a couple years later, we get the Avengers, and, like, I think that movie's incredible, if only for the fact that it did it. And it did it pretty freaking well. I realize we're super off topic from Avatar at the moment, but like,
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah. I don't know. I love what I love. And like, I feel like I can go both ways where I want a 12 Angry Men, which is, you know, great acting in one room. It's essentially a stage play, and I will watch the crap out of that movie, and I love it. I thoroughly enjoy Citizen Kane. I know Brian and I have talked about that one in the past. So like, I can do the classics. I can do the super heavy. I can do the like deep character analyses, but I don't need everything I do to do that. I can enjoy my vegetables and a salad, but I don't need every meal I have to be salad. I can have dessert, and I can enjoy that as well. And so when I look at this movie, I don't need it to be Citizen Kane, but with blue aliens. I'm fine with it being blue aliens. Dessert is fine once in a while.
I accept that. I think that's very solid. I guess the difference for me with the Avatar franchise is that there are some movies that are somewhat a spectacle that I go and enjoy, but they're not blockbuster, record-breaking, huge franchise films. They're The Expendables or something, right? And it's entertaining, and I enjoy it, and I go there, and I shut my brain off, and I enjoy my popcorn, and I enjoy the film, and it's great, and I go home. It's that when I hear people talk about this being the greatest movie ever, I'm kind of upset because there's so much missing from it.
Has anybody ever said it's the greatest movie ever?
I've heard people say that they think it's the greatest ever. Yeah. And it bothers me because this is not the greatest movie ever. It is the biggest grossing film ever. And that's
I'll agree with that. That's factual. I guess I don't have to
It made a lot of money. And I think that's what bothers me the most is its success compared to other movies that have done a better job doing a spectacle and storytelling.
So let me ask you this, both of you, this one. If this movie, obviously this is a sequel, so the first one had to do well enough that they made this one. If this movie flopped, would you enjoy it more?
Honestly, I might.
That's really weird to me.
I don't think so.
That sounds more honest.
I don't think I'm gonna enjoy the movie anymore, right? Like I didn't enjoy Tremors 2 anymore because it flopped. It was still pretty terrible, but I think part of the issue that I take with this film is that so many people think it's better than it really is.
Yeah, I'm aware of what this movie is. I just enjoy it anyways.
I that comes across. That definitely comes across. Now, I'm not judging you at all for you. No. I'll judge you for some other movies probably down the line, but not this fair. One. You're very clear on like this movie is literally a popcorn, turn your brain off. You like the spectacle of it because that's what it is. And 100% that's what it is. So I can't blame you for that. That's fine. And I don't think I'd like this movie anymore if it flopped. I think I just wouldn't push so much that it's doing bad things for future potential movies. And it is what it is. Other movie would have just taken its place, right? It's the way things are going. It's the way things have been going for a long time, especially when you're thinking of theatrical releases, because why go to the, like you said, Dan, why go to the theater for 12 guys in a room when you can just watch the stage play, which will be so much better. But going to this big theater experience, you want that spectacle in some way or another. It does make it better. And this one just was the one that pushed it to the umpteenth degree. And James Cameron is a genius for doing it, whether I agree with his motives or not.
I think I kind of touched on this earlier. Well, actually, I went into this pretty hard earlier, so I'll just say it quickly. I think movies like this help keep the theaters alive so that theaters can show the smaller movies in the
That's a good point.
The other areas. So, and
live theater does the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? They bring in the Beauty and the Beasts and the musicals, the big spectacles, because everybody's going to buy those. They love the tunes getting stuck in their head. So they can put on smaller productions of more intimate stories and things like that. It happens in theater all the time.
Well, and even with actors, like you can look at actors' careers and you can see like they're going to do the big Marvel movie to line their budgets a little bit so they can afford to do the indie flick about the character that they actually find interesting. Like that's kind of what this movie is for the theater industry, or the cinema industry, because like a lot of theaters probably would have gone bankrupt without the MCU. Like as much as you might want to rag on the MCU and Fast and the Furious and Avatar for being terrible movies, they keep those theaters alive so you can go and see the Everything Everywhere is All at Once or whatever movie you want to put there in the theater. I don't know. I don't obviously have the same feelings towards this that you and a lot of people do, and that's totally fine. That's what the whole show is about. But I don't think we're also going to change each other's minds anytime soon. So
no,
move on to rating this.
Okay. Yeah.
No, Dan, you've changed my mind. Go see Avatar 4: The Necessary Evil.
Starring humans.
Bad ones. Yeah, let's rate this thing. Let's rate this thing.
If you like what we do and you want to support us, consider joining our Patreon. There's a link down below. Shout out to our producers, as well as our executive producers, Real Bubba Hotep and Dino, and our head writer, Elder JM 990. Thank you all so much.
So I'm going to keep this one a little short. I liked this one better than the original. They tried to do exactly the things that really bothered me the most from the original one. They failed, but they tried. And so I want to give them props for that. Unfortunately, this was a lot the same to the first movie. They tried to add a little bit of variety and diversity to their characters and bigger story arcs and whatnot. Overall, it kind of just felt a lot the same to me. I did enjoy a lot of the sequences, but this movie felt so long. There were so many sequences where it was like, okay, you're just showing off. And those felt so long. It was really rough. I ended up giving this one a 63, which is a little bit better than its predecessor. But after seeing the little bit of gains in the sequel, I don't have high hopes for the next one.
I'll also keep this short because honestly, I've said pretty much everything I wanted to say about this movie already. I enjoy it. I think the world is gorgeous. I think it's a lot of fun. I know that the characters are fairly shallow, but that's something that I knew going into this movie. So I wasn't surprised by it or disappointed by it. It was kind of what I bought a ticket for. Now, could it be better written? Absolutely it could. But there's so many movies that already fit that bill. This is one that's doing something pretty different, and I'm going to say unique, although I'll probably get some pushback on that. And I just enjoy the world. Now, obviously, there's some problems with how they introduce some of these characters. The acting of Spider, I thought, was really unfortunately bad. And quite frankly, I also agree that this movie is just too long. Both of these movies are too long. I don't notice it when I'm in the theater, because when you're in the theater, the sound is so good, the picture is so good, you're just enjoying your life, eating your popcorn, drinking your drink, and I don't care that it's 3 hours. I would gladly sit through more of it because I'm enjoying myself. But when I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking, man, I've got something I need to edit, I have to get up in the morning, my kids need to go to bed, 3.5 hours or 3 hours and 15 minutes is a huge ask once, let alone watching this one over and over again. And so for that reason, the rewatchability of this one is just not there. I can't disagree that the characters are paper thin. I'm not going to even try to fight that. It's just when I'm enveloped in the world, when I'm seeing the creatures, when I'm seeing the spectacle, I just don't care that much. I'm going to give this one a score and people are going to balk at it, but keep in mind, I am scoring movies every time I do it based on what I'm expecting to get from the movie and what I actually feel I do get from the movie. Walking into this one, getting what I got, I'm giving this one an 83. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right. Well, unlike these other two, I'm going to make this really long. It's the same movie as the first one. If you saw it, you don't have to see this. 56.
And with that, you can see that the Avatar movie did, as predicted, come up a little bit, but wait, and still not enough to overtake the Evil Dead franchise, coming in at a 66 total, 80 for me, 60 for Brian, 57 for Will. Obviously, neither of you are excited about watching the next one, but I have not high hopes, but hopes. I hope that I will enjoy it. Whether you guys do or not is kind of besides the point. But
right,
I have to assume you guys are still okay with this one.
These films get, I enjoy watching movies, good or bad, and it makes it even better when I get to come and hang out in front of a live audience and talk about these with good friends, because it's an experience. And a bad experience that you get to share with good friends isn't such a bad thing.
All right, that's our rating of Avatar: Way of Water. But what's yours? Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. We record this live over at twitch.tv/The Mongoolie Show every Thursday night at 9 p.m. So if you want to go hang out with us live, you can meet us over there and hit the follow button. Or if you just enjoy this on YouTube, make sure you hit like and subscribe on this video, that I see you in the next one.